Hi, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order of the June 25th, 2025 meeting of the Lake Quinsigamond Commission. Thank you all for coming. And we're going to go through all the other stuff. I just want to let you know that this meeting is being recorded for Shrewsbury Cable, which you can watch anywhere. Actually, you can watch it on YouTube. And there's an app called SMC that you can also download onto your iPhone. And so you can, if you want to go back and review something, you can certainly do it there. Our secretary is not here. She had I guess some type of medical emergency thing going on. I don't know if anyone wants to volunteer to take notes.
Well, we have a video record, Mr. Chair,
Okay.
you know?
If everyone's satisfied with that, because next month I'm going to be asking if you've reviewed the whole meeting on the video. So, review and approval of bills and expenses. Oh, I'm sorry. Review and act on the acceptance of the April 2025 meeting minutes, which I don't believe we have. So we'll pass by that. That's okay. And then review and approve approval of bills and expenses.
We have no bills and expenses for the reason you just mentioned. Secretary is
All right.
otherwise occupied.
Okay. And we're going to move right into public participation. Someone here to do that? I thought two people signed up. I got two.
Yep.
Come on up. You can stand at the podium. Just
Name and address.
name and address, please, so for the record.
Okay, Veronica Moon, Point Rock Estates. I'm our group Citizens for Safety and Quality of Life on Flint Pond. Had a meeting in, I believe, January of this year, and we had kind of gone over some items that we thought needed to be addressed, and one of them,
Can maybe
Is
speak
the-
into the microphone?
oh, sorry.
Maybe you
You
can,
can bend it.
You can-
Yeah, you can bend it to me. Yeah.
Okay, is that better?
yeah, it's better.
Okay.
Thank you. Much better.
Okay, so in our meeting, we had discussed some items that we thought should be addressed, and one of them is that there be a no-wake zone buoy by the Route 20 boat ramp on Oak Island, and being that it's under repair and it's about ready to, well, the driveway is being repaired and it's about ready to be reopened, we thought that we should bring that up. It's probably should have been done already, but anyway. The other is, I think, I'm not sure because I haven't been on the pond with my kayak yet, so I don't know if under the tunnel, if there's a no-wake sign. There was one that was missing, a no-wake sign on through the tunnel, like that's beyond, from Flint Pond onto Lake Quinsigamond, that tunnel that's there. So just wanted to, if it hasn't been addressed, to maybe look into adding a sign there.
Okay. So typically we don't kind of go back and forth with this because it's just kind of a public comment area, and you can kind of, we take it in. If we think something we should address, we'll talk about it next month in a more formal way, so to give everyone I saw the email, but maybe someone else didn't see it, so that, just so we're always prepared. But I do want to follow up on a couple of comments about the no-wake buoy. I don't think it's a bad idea for the boat ramp. Technically speaking, it's inherent that you're not supposed to make a wake in front of a boat ramp anyway. And you can say, well, people don't know that, or they're not going to obey the rules or anything like that. The people that we're having problems with it, because I can tell you this because I go in and out of that ramp. I live on Flint Pond, so I go in and out of that ramp all the time with my inboard. I don't know anyone who's driving a boat like mine that doesn't go no wake through there because it's shallow and there's stumps and all kinds of things, which you may not run into with a kayak. But I've actually hit bottom with my paddleboard over there, if you get the wrong spot.
Yeah.
So typically, it's kind of organic that they do that. Again, I don't mind if we put something there. When I'm assuming the tunnel you're talking about is the east side of the island. It's the one towards Market Basket.
Yeah.
versus the west
Yes.
side, which is the culvert that goes into Half Moon.
Yes, it's on the
Again, there's no
Market
real
Basket
need to put a no wake zone in that side because, one, no motorboats go through that. I know jet skis are going through it right now. That's not going to last long because the lake is going down gradually. So that's going to be too shallow for them to get through that. If they do go through it, they're going to suck up a whole bunch of sediment on the bottom, which won't be good for them. And if you're listening at home, take heed of that. On the other side, yeah, they kept, I shouldn't point fingers or anything. The buoys kept getting damaged by slices in them, which I guess, if it wasn't a human, maybe the swans did it. I don't know, but they kept sinking, and we've asked PD to, and if I did that in the past meeting, that we needed 2 buoys there. We actually need 3 buoys and maybe 4 if we put in no wakes there. There's a shallow spot that always traditionally had a buoy there. There's no buoy on that, so that's a little bit dangerous. And then the 2 buoys that we're also going to put buoys. If you're a kayaker, you'll appreciate this. When you go around the corner where the boathouse is there, going out to the big lake. So we're going to put a no wake zone in there as well,
Okay.
which is also should be inherent
Right.
because there's an obstruction of view. It's not very wide there, but signage is better. So we'll put it in there. I don't anticipate, and I can tell you a story. We'll do this offline if you want to hear that. But I don't, from considering the jet skis, you can put as many signs as you want over there, and they're going to fly out of that ramp.
Yeah.
So the only thing that's going to stop them is the jet ski or the Worcester boat.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they'll just take off, and that's what they do. So that's been my experience. But thank you, good,
Okay. Thank you.
good,
Appreciate.
good input. And that's it, right? Lisa's not here. We had one more, but okay. All right. So the next item, commissioners' reports. Mr. Pica.
Well, number one, Mr. Chairman, I would say yes. To be consistent, if we have a buoy over in the Corazini ramp area, well, we should have one there. And I agree with the previous discussion. Should be towards the Market Basket side, and there's no need to have a couple of them, probably just one. And if anybody knows anything about the bottom of that area, yes, it is shallow. There's, like you said, there's stumps, but for safety, maybe there should be. Moving on, and I would be one to make a motion that we consider spending the money, so put one in. But moving on, number 2, a few observations from the season as it's progressing. People who use the lake, and they may not even be watching this meeting, need to understand that the lake is a great pond of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, but the islands and the abutting properties are just that, private property, and people should not be tying their, boats up to trees on people's property thinking that that's okay. One thing leads to another, and that's one thing if you anchor, which actually goes to the next thing. Rafting. This Saturday or Sunday, I saw 6 boats rafted together. Okay, well, 6 boats. But, and people are going to say, well, what's coming up now? Well, I have some concern. The lake isn't that big, and if rafting as an experience led to like 10 to 15 boats rafting together, we may have to take a look at that in terms of limiting the number of boats that raft together. Why? Because it becomes then an obstacle. And rafting is maybe a new phenomenon to Lake Quinsigamond, but if anybody travels in their boats to the likes of Lake Winnipesaukee, they'll see that sometimes, or other lakes, there'll be people that'll raft multiple boats next to each other, not just 6, but 15 or 20. And if we would allow that on the lake would end up looking like Hong Kong Harbor. I'm sorry. I've said that before in terms of some other things. But we just got to take note of the fact that it's a phenomenon that's growing. Moving along, overnight mooring. It's been reported to me that some people are anchoring the boats and staying overnight. It brings up a couple concerns. Although it's not illegal, you have to have proper lighting if you anchor your boat and going to stay overnight, on your boat all night long. And I presume those people have a holding tank in their boat. And let it be said, what's a holding tank? You should know what a holding tank is, okay? You know, no one should be using the lake to camp for days, and the lake thus then being used to be a toilet or to clean your utensils, okay? So people need to be respectful of that precious great pond called Lake Quinsigamond. Moving on, I just hope that everybody continues to behave themselves well as they have in previous years in regards to Tuesday night, July 1st, which is coming up in just a few days, when the City of Worcester is going to shoot off its annual fireworks display from East Park. As I've said it in years in the past, south of the Route 9 bridge, in the past has literally been, no exaggeration, 100 or 200 boats that are sitting still in the dark, awaiting the shooting of the Worcester fireworks. Again, they should have proper lighting. Nobody should be entering or exiting an area like that rapidly. They should be going at slow or wake speed. It's discourteous the people who may be already anchored there to watch the fireworks all of a sudden, be fearful that somebody's, roaring up next to them, in front of them, or into them. So please, let's hope that the general boating public on Lake Quinsigamond can continue its good track record of cruising and operating their boats courteously and appropriately. Other than that, Mr. Chair, just the first time I ever saw it, but I know they're there. Never mind geese with their goslings and ducks with the little baby ducks. I saw a pair of swans with 3 cygnets, I think. The little baby swans are called cygnets, I think. And it was the first time I ever saw them. I'm sure that it's happening. Swans, on average, if anybody kind of knows their behavior, really, they don't like to be around a lot of commotion and people. They're typically on the other side of the Sunset Bridge Dam, and they'll come out in the spring or fall when there isn't much boat traffic. But of all things, at 6:30 in the morning, a couple mornings ago, there's a mom and dad with 3 baby swans. So it was something to see. I continue to see the eagles flying about the lake. I've more so now seen, for the last couple of years also, be it one or a couple of ospreys, which are eagle-like birds that do diving. So it's kind of nice to see wildlife. Most people do not, and we should not be feeding the geese or the ducks. We have a rule about that. A lot of people have feelings, I do, about the Canada geese getting too domesticated and bringing their brood onto your lawn, and your lawn now being covered with goose scat, I'll call it. It's not a pleasant thing. So, thank you, Mr. Chair. That's it for now.
Thank you. A couple of things that you had mentioned, Mike, that the rafting of boats, like you said, right now it is not against the rules to do that. I agree with Mike that it should be, you should be careful while you're doing that and not to block navigation. So if you're rafting up a boat and you're blocking a navigable area, that is in fact against the rules. So if you can't raft up your boat in Kings Point, for example. Anytime you're blocking a substantial navigational way, then you will be asked to move along, I guess, from that perspective. Overnight mooring, same thing. Yeah, definitely have lights on there because you are invisible at night. And some person's going to be driving in there under the speed limit, minding their own business, and they can run into you. And so, if there's no moon out, you literally can't see anyone from here to the end of the room. Mm-hmm. So if you're traveling in a boat doing 10 or 15 miles an hour, it's going to take you about 2 seconds to get up there. And it could be too late. The fireworks, I would like to see, this is, again, an inherent thing. So there's a Massachusetts boat law now that you have to get a certificate to drive. And when you take that course, you're going to say, and it's in our rules as well, is that you need to drive to the conditions. And the conditions not just weather conditions. The conditions are also how many people are on the lake or how congested the traffic is. So the speed limit on Lake Quinsigamond during the day is 40 miles an hour. But if it's a Sunday afternoon and there's, 150 boats cruising around the lake, 40 miles an hour is too fast. You can't go weaving in and out of boats. You can't go around people. You can't, do any of that other stuff. And I know that there's no lines in the lake. There's no traffic patterns, but you have to use common sense. I would really like to see no wake inside of Kings Point to the Route 9 bridge, because that's where everyone's congregating. So once you get into there, just, slow the boat down. Because of
Mr.
the,
Chair, is this in regards to the fireworks?
yes.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, just the fireworks night. Not a universal rule, but just the fireworks night that, and during the night, not during the day, but while everyone's congregating over there. And law enforcement's done a really good job of kind of tamping down people who are doing stuff. But if you go through there and you think you're going slow because you're going forward at 14 miles an hour, you're creating a big wake. Most runabouts, that's the biggest wake they're going to create. Most boats, that's the biggest wake they're going to create. So you may think you're going slow at a reasonable speed, but if you look behind you, you're going to see a whole bunch of boats bouncing around that you just waked, and possibly swamped, because it's not just motorboats out there. There's kayaks, there's paddle boards I saw out there, all kinds of stuff. I'm going to remind everyone that canoes, kayaks, they shouldn't even be out there at night. But if you make the mistake of doing that, stay close to shore and light up. You should be lit up like a Christmas tree, because again, you're invisible. And not only can people not see you even as a mass, like a regular boat, they can't see you because most of the time you're below their sight line. So if you're in a runabout, you can't see someone that's head just bopping up over the water. So just be very, very careful out there. Paddleboard, same thing. There's no restriction for paddleboards at night, unfortunately. I think there should be, and that's maybe something we can discuss at some point on Lake Quinsigamond. But
should probably have a light.
you need to have a light. So make sure that you have that out there, and law enforcement will hopefully remind everyone that when they're.
And they're commercially available, if I can just add, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
With suction cups, so you can put it on the front of the bow of your craft, we'll call it.
It's not rocket science. It's for your own protection and everyone else's well-being. Because it's not just you. The poor slob that runs you over, is going to feel, because it was not really even his fault. Is going to that's going to live. He's going to have to live with that for the rest of his life. So.
If I can add to your comment, Mr. Chair, unfortunately, this is Tuesday night. It's not a Friday or Saturday night, which, if that's when the city was, say, going to then shoot off its fireworks, there'd certainly be more boats. So maybe the numbers consequently will be suppressed this particular year relative to the night that the city of Worcester is contracted to have their fireworks be set off. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks. All right. So, Mr. Nelson.
Okay, just a couple of things. I know yesterday you and I were emailing of trying to find some help for launches for the water chestnut pulling this Saturday morning for the Lake Quinsigamond Watershed Association, and we weren't having any luck. But this afternoon, I just heard from the Quinsigamond Rowing Association, and they're actually volunteering 2 launches, double what we asked, with 2 drivers for that. So I'm not sure what luck you had, but it looks like they're going to have the help they need now.
All right. Thank you very much.
Other than that, I'm sure everyone's noticed that it's been very hot weather the last 3 days. I've certainly noticed it while rowing those mornings. And I've had some questions asked about it, so I want to just take a minute to sort of answer them. Most endurance rowers, and it takes several years, wear heart rate monitors. And like myself, I'll use an example, my resting heart rate is 70 beats per minute. And when I'm sprinting at the end of a race, it's over 150 beats per minute. And with a heart rate monitor, most rowers know what they can and can't do because they've spent years in training. The problem, of course, is when it's very, very hot, your body wants to sweat and cool down, and the only way it can cool down is to move the blood close to the skin, so it's near the outside of your body. But pushing blood through all the tiny capillaries in your skin is much, much harder work than pushing them through the main veins and arteries inside your body. And so you can get an increase in your heart rate of up to 10 beats per minute for every increase in the temperature by 1 degree centigrade. So people have said, why are they out there rowing early in the morning? Well, first of all, most of the rowers have switched to 5:30 to 7 rather than 7 to 8:30 to get it a little cooler. But in any case, they do what I do. I was rowing at about half the pace that I normally row, which for a strong and long, hard row is about 135 beats per minute. But rowing at half that pace, my heart rate on Monday morning and Wednesday morning in this hot and heat and humidity was over 150. So that's what the rowers do. They're still out there practicing, but they know what they're doing and they're monitoring it. So they're just cutting their pace down to a half or 2/3 of what it normally is because they know what their heart rate is. And so the only point I want to make is if you've got a very sedentary lifestyle and you're not used to really working hard, whether it's hot weather or cool weather, you should probably think that it's not the wisest thing to do just because you see those rowers out there still early in the morning going back and forth at what looks like a very fast pace. And that's the only comment I wanted to make about the hot weather. I'm sure everybody realizes it's hot and does take safety precautions.
Okay. Good advice. A video would have been nice.
Yeah.
It's in circulation, but that's okay.
It's hard to take videos when each hand's on an oar.
I know.
GoPros.
I'm just saying, maybe they have someone did one that,
Yeah.
who knows? So, at 5:30, is it light out?
Yep.
Yes, this time of year.
Okay.
Yep.
As you can tell, I'm not up at 5:30, so.
Some people, to get there and be all dressed and on the dock, need
Okay,
to get up
cool.
at 4:30, and it's light enough.
Okay, perfect, okay. Yeah, it's way better, and the other thing with that is it's less busy out there, not counting the towboats. So, great, okay. Good advice for all. Barbara, you left for a second, but I don't know if you heard about the 2 launches that are coming to your weed pull, so that's good. Yes? Thank you. What are those things draft?
They're the smaller launches, so I would think if they're not heavily overloaded with water chestnut weeds to sink, no more than 6 inches.
Okay, perfect, because that's about what you got in there, in some parts of it. Okay, great, thank you. That's great news. So, I'm going to switch over to you, Sergeant Caviston. And
Thank you.
welcome to the board, by the way.
Thank you. I just got promoted to lieutenant now.
Oh, Lieutenant.
Yeah,
Well, that's
Oh.
right. Look at his
Well, good for you.
Look at his shoulder.
I know, I'm sorry.
yeah.
So,
The secretary's not here for that. Since last meeting, we've had 200 lake incidents. That includes just checks or security checks, and then everything from fixing buoys, assisting boaters. It also includes boat ramp incidents. So we've had a presence and a focus on the North Quinsigamond boat ramp, making sure that safe boaters are entering the water. We've deployed those resources when staffing allows. And then as far as the boat and the jet ski, the boat's been manned with 2 people every day on 3 to 11 shift, and we're averaging 3 times a week to have the jet ski out there as well. Looking forward, you talked about July 1st and the fireworks, basically ramping up for that. Again, to make sure that we have safe boaters coming in the water. We'll have a lot of personnel at the boat ramp. And then again with the July 4th weekend.
cool. That's it?
That's it.
Yeah, thanks for the efforts out there. It's good to see. You said 200?
Yes, since the last meeting in May.
Yeah.
I mean, that does count for if they're just logging a check of an island, that making sure no one's on there, to everything in between.
Right. When is the jet ski out? Well, unless you don't have to.
Usually in the evening.
Okay.
However, with the hot weather, it has gone out during the day as well.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
I could ask, and you may not even know, Kevin, but does anybody here know when the Route 20 ramp will again be open for people to use?
After the July 4th weekend.
Right, I believe it's July 7th, the shooting for. So,
Okay, as a matter of public information. I
Okay.
know that, and bringing that up, I understand that the Corazini ramp on these particular warm days has been exceedingly busy. Where people are parked on the grass and it's, it was described to me as almost like a carnival. Was it last night or the night before? So with one of only 2 ramps available for people to use, there's a lot of pressure in terms of the use currently of the Corazini ramp, particularly on these hot days and evenings. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
thanks. And just to remind everyone that I believe under the state statute that, once the ramp parking lot is full, basically it's full, so it's kind of closed after that. So that's a thing. And I know people aren't hearing to that, obviously, but you can't be parking on, are the no parking signs still out there? Like on
They
crew
took
days?
them down after the,
After the cruise, after the tournaments?
yeah.
But there is no parking on that road. And certainly not in the streets around there, because those are streets that people need to be able to pass in and out of, because folks live down there, so just be here, adhere to that. Okay, thank you. Mr. Polito.
The Shrewsbury Conservation Commission issued an IDA over on Lear Street for some water quality work. There was some runoff getting into the lake near between a couple of camps there. This gentleman took it upon himself to kind of do some grading, put some stones down, and just to mitigate some of the water runoff going into the lake. And then over on North Quinsigamond Ave, there's an ongoing issue with a wall, a property over there, and we've been working with the homeowner and the abutter to try to get that up and going. I know there was a issue with building permits and whatnot, so that's an ongoing issue. And just an observance from being on the lake, seen an increase in the size of the boats running up and down. Just an observance, they seem to be going a little faster, creating a little bit more wake. So just something to be cognizant of. That's it.
All right, thank you. To Ken's point, that, the rule in Lake Quinsigamond is you can have a boat that's bigger than 30 feet long, and that's length overall. So I've seen some boats out there that the numbers are like, if a boat goes by you and it says, 3,100 on it or 3,000, that's usually an indication of how long the boat is. So, and I would even question something that had 2,900 on it or something like that, because that may not include the platform. Anyway, that's an issue. Lake Quinsigamond has, got a, again, you've probably heard me say this a million times. It's a big lake, I guess. It's 772 acres and it's 3 or 4 miles long. However, it has the characteristics of a much smaller pond because it's not very wide, and the shoreline is getting beat up. And more. This is going to be in my report actually, which I think I'm up. Oh no, I'm not up. But we'll talk to that. We'll go to that in my time, I guess. And Patty,
All right.
what do we got from Worcester?
So Worcester, at the June 9th meeting, Worcester approved a residential dock at 249 Lake Ave. So they know they have to come before the Lake Quincy Commission and get a permit for their
Yeah.
dock as well, and they plan on going through Chapter 91 as well. We've also, for the Lake Ave North right-of-way, so that property that's owned by the city of Worcester that has a bunch of private docks on it. So the city of Worcester has required them to come through the Conservation Commission out of those 14 docks, 9 of them have come through the Conservation Commission and got permits through the Conservation Commission. We're also talking with 2 of the other dock owners as well. So there's still a couple more that haven't reached out to us yet. So waiting to hear back on that. We did receive a new filing for Quinsig State Park. So they're looking to install a couple canopies and some picnic benches at the property.
nice.
So that we'll be reviewing that July 21st. So yeah, that's what I have for Worcester Conservation.
All right, great. Good news about the North Lake Ave stuff. So conservation, you guys inherited that,
Yeah.
the management of that?
Yep.
Okay, that's good. And they're all gonna be registered under the city?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect. All right. That's great. So, all right, so, a couple of things on the lake here. I'm getting more and more requests, and some of this is in the emails that were sent to us to, it's like every time I talk to someone, they want to put a no wake zone in front of their property. Or they want some kind of quiet time, or there's a whole bunch of different things going on. I guess it's, be careful what you wish for, because if we actually did that for every request that we've had, no one would be going anywhere. And at least no one would be going anywhere fast. You're getting passed by paddle boards and stuff out there. So it's not practical to do it. I understand what they're talking about. But, to Mr. Polito's point, some of this is caused by, bigger boats that are causing wakes. And a big boat, again, if I keep telling people this, is, when you're going 14 miles an hour, and I'm not saying you should be driving looking the other direction, but, take a look back and see how big your wake is at that point. So you look like you're going forward, and you look like you're going at a responsible speed, but it's still causing damage to people's equipment on the shore, and to the natural shoreline. And really, on the commission standpoint, the natural shoreline is what we're really focused on. When I do anything on my shoreline as far as, structure or looking to make improvements, you got to really think about what you're dealing with, and the environment around you, and you have to kind of, design around that. I've seen walls that are in decent shape that have been on this lake for over 100 years. So whoever built that, in busy spots on the lakes, whoever built it right. So there's ways to mitigate that kind of stuff. That said, I was standing in front of a house one day. I was inside of a dock that was a U-dock. I was inside this dock. That thing was probably, I'm going to say, where I was standing was probably 8 or 9 feet from their wall. I was on the lake side of the wall. A wakeboard went by, and I said, I'm just going to see how the dock reacts when this boat goes by. The dock was a floating dock at the time, and the wave came in, and sure enough, it lit up the floating dock pretty well. But when it hit that wall, the water came over my head like a wave into the U. Literally came over my head. Unfortunately, it's not a slinky, so the water didn't follow itself, and it just kind of got to the top and collapsed on top of me. Luckily, it was probably 80 degrees that day, so it was kind of a welcome thing, to tell you the truth. But it tells you the force of the waves when they hit a wall. And this wall, by the way, was, 3 feet high. So it wasn't that big of a wall to shoot the thing out like that. But it was, it came right up over it. So that wave came by me. It was a floating dock, so the thing kind of didn't go over the dock. But the dock was certainly bouncing around up there. So they do cause a lot of damage to anything that's around it. Certainly, if you're going by, you can swamp another boat, especially a kayak. You can knock someone off a paddleboard with it. You are responsible for whatever damage, whatever injury anyone has by your wake. And one of the things I've been telling someone when they call, I said, what boat's doing it? What boat's going by your house and causing damage? and no one can seem to pinpoint that, or sometimes they don't even want to, they don't, because it's their neighbor or something, they don't want to rat the person out. But that's the only way we can do anything. That's the only way law enforcement can do anything. It's like, we need to know, and we can address it like that. And it's not like, they're going to go in there and, take them up and confiscate their boat, but we at least can have a conversation and say, we know this. Last year, for example, a boat did get swamped. This boat was tied up at a dock on the north end of the lake. Law enforcement did in fact see a wake boat in the area going back and forth. They did not see the wave go over the back of the boat, but, the wake boat stopped doing her stuff, and they went by and noticed that the boat had sunk. So there was nothing else to cause that there. When the boat was recovered, and it cost this poor guy probably $5,000, he had to hire divers to come in. I think they hired Shrewsbury Fire to come in there, bag up the boat, get it out of the water, pump the water out of the boat, tow the boat over to Corazini, and take the boat in to get it fixed, because now the engine's filled with water, so they had to go out there and empty all that stuff out and change the oil probably 10 times. And the guy wasn't even home. The guy was on, went away for the holiday, went away for the weekend, and, he comes back to that. His boat gets, swamped. I did talk to the person. I said that to the person who had swamped the boat, and I explained the story. He said, well, this, it was me. Well, you swamped the guy's boat. I really don't know what happened, if he reached out to these people or not. But that's the law. The law is you're responsible for anything your wake does. So it's just like if you hit it with your boat. And so you need to do that. Also, I guess I'm going to ask law enforcement to kind of particularly pay attention to bigger boats and to get a measurement on the, I don't go out there with a yardstick, but if you see something that's over 30 feet, we need to address it, and to keep those guys keep that kind of activity in check. That all said, it's not just big boats, it's not just wake boats. Any runabout, like I said before, can cause a damaging wake and can swamp another boat. I've seen cruise shells get swamped by ski boats who are designed not to make a big wake. So it depends on what, if someone's in a kayak, you got to go around them. It's best, and this is what I do. It's annoying to anyone who's in my boat with me, but I'll slow down. I'll go by the kayak, no wake, as best I can. If he's on the other side of the lake, way away from me, 200 feet, I may not bother to do it. But if I'm in an area where I can't get around him, in a safe manner, then I'll stop. I'll slow down and putt by the guy. It's just out of respect. I've been in the kayak. I've been on my paddleboard. And I've gotten waked. So it's imperative that you do that. We don't want any injuries. In other news, they did find a kayak floating around with a fishing pole in the water and a cell phone in it, and no human. So that lit up. It was in front of the Worcester shore, but it was anything in front of the Worcester shore, basically from Kings Point on down to a little bit past Rob Roy is Shrewsbury. So Shrewsbury Fire got called in, Shrewsbury Rescue, and they went out there. They staged at Sunset Beach, and they probably had, multiple personnel. It was over 10 people there looking around. They did fortunately find the person at home. He had the kayak had gotten swamped, and he swam to shore. Thankfully, he made it to shore. But that lit up a lot of resources to do that. And anytime anytime the fire department goes out to do a rescue like that or a search like that, it puts those people's life in harm's way. So I'd request that if you do have to, and this person didn't have a cell phone, obviously, because it was in the boat. And that's how they identified him. But anything you can do when you get home to make a phone call to tell people that you're okay and that's your kayak out there. And the person who saw it actually was someone out there skiing in the morning. And they almost hit it because the thing was sunk and they couldn't see it. So, again, that's, you that caused a navigational issue. So, which is also a danger. So I'm going to ask everyone at home to be cognizant of the fact that when that happens, it's not just, oh, I left my stuff there and I'll come back and get it later. That could cause someone an injury. So,
Mr. Chair, if I can add to that, it brings up the issue that when it comes to small boats that could wash off your shore or whatever happens to them, it's not a bad rule of thumb, and I believe the U.S. Coast Guard might actually offer white plain stickers, or you could buy some white duct tape, you put it near the opening to your boat, and you put your name, address, and phone number in it, so in case your boat gets lost or whatever, it can be identified as to whose it is, and they can be contacted both for recovery and also, again, to quell any concerns that someone could have been in it, tipped over, and drowned. So, again, just a thought. People might keep it in mind. And again, it can be as simple as white duct tape with a permanent magic marker that you affix your name, address, and phone number on it, so that it can be identified. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
all right. Thank you. We're going to work to get buoys on the lake where where it's appropriate. And I'm going to, again, ask everyone to behave themselves and to go down to no wake when they go inside of Kings Point. So from Kings Point to the Burns Bridge, to the Route 9 bridge, on Tuesday. That's the 2nd. Yes? The 1st. That's when
You're looking to make a motion, Mr. Chair?
no.
Okay.
Like, we can't vote on it because we didn't put it on the
Okay.
But I'm just asking that you do that. And we can, we can make it a rule if we have to. And the other thing is that on the 2nd of July, the ramp will be closed. They're going to have, this is a great event. It's an adaptive water ski event. It's going to be for veterans. It's going to work out of the Donahue Boat House, the Donahue Rowing Center. Anyone would like to go down there and help them out. You get to ski all day. And it's a lot of fun. It's very rewarding. Hopefully they'll have a good turnout of veterans coming in there and going on this. So basically, it allows people to go out water skiing who are paraplegic. It doesn't really matter what your, pretty much what your, I've seen quadriplegics on the sit ski. It's pretty cool to watch it, and the reward is to just the look on people's faces when they're out there and they come back. And that's it's something simple to do. That, they could use help doing a whole bunch of stuff. Helping to prepare the skiers. Anyone wants to help get the skiers in and out of the water. It's all very organized. It's run very well. This organization has been doing this for the last, I'm going to say, 5 or 6 years at least. And they've been trained by another organization who's been doing it for 30 or 40 years. It's just a really, really cool thing. They also do them all over the places. They have events at Lake Lashaway. They have events at Webster Lake, which is one of their bases, on Glen Echo, which is another one of their bases. So a great thing. So the ramp will be closed, and it'll be a no-wake zone at
The Corzini ramp.
the Corzini ramp
And that's on this coming Wednesday,
yes.
July 2nd.
on Wednesday,
And
July 2nd.
And when to when, Mr. Chair?
So it's going to be from, I'm going to say from 8 in the morning and probably to around 3 or 4 in the afternoon when they'll polish up. When they'll finish up. So,
Mr. Chair, I
Sure.
got a comment to that.
yeah.
Yeah, since it starts at 8, the boat clubs have been notified, they're all gonna be off the water by 7:30.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. And that's it for my report. So, on to an update. Update for Lake Management Plan. Thankfully, from Shrewsbury Conservation and Boylston Conservation, we have approval to do the drawdown at Newton Pond this year. So that's a big thing. We're thankful that
I
happened.
believe it was a 5-year plan, too.
5-year plan, yep.
Yeah.
So that'll help. Newton Pond is has gotten kind of overrun. We extended our permit last season to do a herbicide treatment, but Newton Pond is especially a good prospect for a drawdown because it's fairly shallow, and the vegetation's in a concentrated kind of area, big concentrated area, but a concentrated area. So that's good. I really appreciate Boylston chipping in for and covering the cost of the peer review. So that was a nice gesture from them. And also, we've filed another permission, again, asking to be able to treat with herbicide in Zone C. That's Flint Pond. And there is a substantial crop of both milfoil and fanwort in there. So we're hoping to get that approval from those folks as soon as possible so that we can do a treatment over there. I'm going to let Katie update you on the progress those guys have made for some other exciting things there. And that's about it on the update for lake management. And that's going to move us right in to Katie. The Lakes Ponds Coordinator, City of Worcester, Department of Sustainability, Resilience, and the Lakes and Ponds Program. I feel like it should be like the FedEx guy.
Thanks, Mr. Chair, for that introduction. So I won't repeat my my name and title, I suppose. But to start off, Barbara asked me to give an update on the event this Saturday. So for many years, the Lake Quinsigamond Watershed Association has held water chestnut polls, volunteer events on the lake, and this year is not an exception to that. The Lakes and Ponds program has partnered with LQWA to organize and put on 2 polls this summer. First is this coming Saturday. So far, we have 18 people signed up to help paddle and pole, and that will also be supported by 5 additional staff from the organization NUIPIC, who gave LQWA a grant to support the effort. And really, some of the biggest help that they're doing is providing those staff to help run the event. It's always easier to work with volunteers when you have lots of people who are able to direct folks. Worcester State University will be supplying their canoes for this event, and as Commissioner Nelson mentioned, QRC is helping out with 2 launches to help ferry the chestnuts that were pulled back to the shore, so our pullers can stay out there and keep pulling and without having to go back and forth all the time. The town of Shrewsbury and a local contractor are covering the disposals. Right now, we filled all of the available canoe spots, but if anyone's listening and wants to bring their own kayak or their own boat, we are more than happy to have more people show up. We'll be meeting at Gouch Park at 9 a.m. We are closely monitoring the weather. There's some rain forecasted, potentially some thunderstorms. We'll be making a final call on Friday afternoon, so feel free to sign up through our registration form if you haven't yet and you want to receive an email saying whether or not the poll is on. Because you get wet anyway doing this activity, if it's just light rain, we'll continue with it, but we certainly won't have anyone out on the lake while there's lightning. So that's why we're confirming on Friday. And as the chair mentioned, there's some upcoming plant management coming for the lake in addition to the water chestnut hand pole. As I previously mentioned, the City of Worcester will be contracting some diver-assisted suction harvesting in Zone B. That's that area of kind of North Round Pond. It's one of the vernacular names, just north of the bridge there. So targeting milfoil and staying away from the rare plants to protect that as well. And we are also contracting a comprehensive plant map of Lake Quinsigamond and Flint Pond. So the last map was done back in 2022. It's good practice to update the maps every 3 to 5 years, depending on how quickly things change. So we're looking forward to contracting that, and that will be used to guide future management efforts, and will hopefully be a good tool in renewing the natural heritage permit, which will need to be renewed in, I believe, 2 years, 1.5 seasons from now. And just the last update I've previously spoken about, the continuous monitoring buoys that the Lakes and Ponds program has launched to help us monitor indicators for cyanobacteria. So with the start of the new fiscal year, we're looking forward to deploying a second buoy in Flint Ponds next week or so. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks, Katie. Moving on to the watershed. Do you have anything to add to that?
No report,
No report.
first time in 10 years.
I know, exactly. Well, I saw you didn't, it's not really a no report. You kind of,
It's already been said.
while you're up there, Katie, can you just mention that? Thank you very much, both of you, for organizing the water chestnut thing. I mean, it's probably, of the rare species we have, I mean, milfoil and fan water are annoying. I certainly, every time I gotta clean off my prop when I come back, you know, 'cause I have to go through the little field of it. However, nothing compared to the aggressiveness of a water chestnut crop. And if you don't believe that, show up Saturday and we'll show you what happens if you don't take care of it right away. There's other places on the lake, especially on off of South Quinsigamond there in Old Faith Cove, and in Round Pond, down by where the Vasei is. So the Round Pond, so that's, you know, if you see water chestnut, and I believe there's there's a Blue Space Minute. There's a Blue Space Minute about water chestnuts, so you can kind of see what one looks like on there. The Blue Space Minutes, by the way, are really, really good. We're hoping to do another video that's a little bit more expansive than that about water chestnut. To give people some more education. So, but thank you so much for getting that done. It's a big effort. If you see this, if you go down to Gouge Park, you'll see the scope of this effort that they've done down there. And it's very well run. So it's not like, you know, the worst thing volunteers, and, you know, when you talk about volunteers, like, what's the worst thing that can happen? It's like, I show up and I don't have anything to do, or I don't know what I'm doing, or no one knows what I'm supposed to be doing. So that's not probably going to be the case on Saturday. You'll have a job. So that's a good thing. So thank you very much for the launches. That's an important thing. I'm glad. And it's not the first time that the rowing community has stepped up and helped out. I know that I've worked with those guys during the spring cleanups, so we really appreciate that. And that
Can I make a comment on your previous comment?
okay.
It turns out my brother has had a cottage on a kettle pond down in Plymouth for over 30 years. It's big enough to be a great pond, but their pond association has, 30 years ago, did a really good job of cleaning out all the invasive weeds. And the point I want to make is they do it every single spring, and it is a tiny job now.
Yeah.
Because they do a thorough cleaning every spring, and then some of them get together later in August and just inspect if there's a couple that snuck by, and they pull them out. So the point I want to make is, if you can somehow manage to get the vast majority of the invasive plants out, the problem becomes much easier than if for every year you just never get ahead of them.
Okay. Good advice. Is there public access on that pond?
No,
That's
excuse me. There's public access with public beaches and 2 public camping areas, but
Boat
there's
ramp.
no public boat
okay.
access.
Okay. Good. Thanks, Bill. All right. So review correspondence. We talked about the rules and regulations for a new dock system on on South Quinsigamond Avenue. Mr. Piker is going to review that and give us a recommendation. And no wake buoys,
Mr. Chair, if I can,
yeah,
my recommendation is relative to lot lines going out, and having looked at this particular one, is that, I'm gonna call it the plaintiff, who says there's not much room on one side. My understanding is they put a second dock in, which it's the abutter, if you go straight out from their property, is not crossing across their line, so they may need to move their dock back a little or take it out and just be satisfied with one dock. But I don't see where we should be asking the abutter to move their dock, because they put in a second one, which, again, relative to the lot lines going out into the water, their neighbor isn't impinging on the waterway.
okay. I think also,
If they want to, they can come in front of the commission, and as a body, we could make a determination about it, but that would be my determination.
okay, thank you. I think also you need to go down and, because they applied for a permit for the second dock. So should probably go down and inspect that.
It's, the issue is the placement of the second dock, really, Mr. Chair.
Right, well, it's basically where this picture is here.
And they probably can't place it there. This, that's it.
Okay. All right,
They have to move it a little more.
so, so that's that one. The no wake buoys on Route 20. That's from Veronica. And slow and no wake zone, this is over on the Worcester Shore line. They want to put a no wake buoy up there. I did reach out to the person and basically explain to him that, we get these requests all the time, and if we follow through on all of them, there'd be no wake anywhere on Lake Quinsigamond. So I don't think anyone wants that. Although they did say to me, well, we just got a deck boat. Still, same comment as before. And that's about it for correspondence. So,
Mr. Chair, if I can,
yeah.
Mr. Richard Pasquarelli,
Yep.
you may have to try to get some standoffs and see what commercial is available to, keep his boat in check so it doesn't trash about.
yeah, well, I mean,
This commission, I'll just reiterate what you said, Mr. Chair. We could have a public hearing on it, but I just don't see where we could make the Worcester side a no-wake zone. Again, thus then the whole lake would have to be that. I don't see where the boating public, be it abutters on the lake or people who visit the lake with their boats, would want that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
thanks. No, probably not. Is there any other comments on that? Okay. And I also asked this person also to keep an eye out for, find out who's doing it, and then we can address things specifically. An update, review, set a date for our next meeting.
Wednesday, July 30th, Mr. Chair.
Is that the last Wednesday?
Yes, it is, Mr. Chair.
Perfect.
Theoretically here,
That's July, which date?
7:30.
7 or 7:30?
July 30th,
Oh,
30, right.
at 7. So,
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so moved. Thank you for coming.